Hey, what's up everybody? This is IFBB Pro Gerald Williams here at the Mecca. We've reopened the back here. It's really nice at Gold's Gym in Venice. We just finished training a little bit of quads. Feeling pretty good here. We're about 4 weeks today from the California Pro, 6 weeks from the next show, and we're gonna this year model one of the guys I've really admired for a long time, Darren Charles. Darren Charles stayed in shape. Dexter Jackson's another one too, stayed in shape. And they were able to compete over and over again because they didn't have to do a lot to peak because they were already in shape. And so really that's my goal this year, is to be in shape enough where I can compete as frequently as I'd like to through the year. So with that, we'll talk about some of the adjustments that we've made with my diet, my cardio, with my training, that type of stuff. So we'll start with the diet first. Matt's been pretty good about keeping my food high, as I've been able to still drop and get really tight without necessarily having to starve and suffer, which really speaks to the process of this year-long bodybuilding that we talked about. Eat clean year-round, stay pretty close. You don't have to do a lot of suffering to get in shape for a show. The old school methodology of blow up and lose 50 pounds to get ready for a show didn't really work for me. Tried it. It just makes the process too arduous. So now we're keeping things pretty tight, keeping things close year-round, so the preps are pretty good. I would say the most challenging issue that I really face is the number of sessions that I have per week. I've got 2 training sessions a day, 6 days a week, plus a posing session every day. So it's really 18 total sessions a week. And that's really the grind part of this, is making sure that schedule-wise I get everything done, and energy-wise with everything else I have going on that happens. So speaking of the food, we haven't made a lot of cuts. We pulled out 1 meal. We've cut a lot of the external oils initially, so I can get enough calories without a super high amount of food volume, keep the stomach tight. We added oils for calories to meals, so we've cut a lot of the extra stuff out. We cut my carbs in half and we're going to pull them out for the most part the rest of the way, and kind of see how I need them as the weeks progress. 4 weeks out is a lot of time. If you really think about it, I've only been dieting for 3 weeks and in pretty good shape. I think the front side of me's coming pretty well. The back side, I think, at this point is really where we want to get a lot tighter. Cardio-wise, I think people laugh when I tell them this, is that I'm only doing 20 minutes right now. And conceptually, I've had to really trust Matt Berzicott, who's my coach. I've had to trust his vision and process of how cardio looks and what its real function is. Matt and I, normally I'm used to doing fasted AM cardio like everybody else. You get out of bed and you go to the gym and you do some cardio and then you start your day. My day doesn't look like that anymore. My day is really eat my first meal, do my posing session, then go train for the first time, go through the day and then train the second time, and then do my cardio after my second workout. Functionally, like glycogen levels are low after you train, so that metabolically probably serves the same purpose, but I've really had to understand that it's just for the purpose of speeding my metabolism, not just a task. So the intensity is pretty high on the Stairmaster, and we're rolling for 20 minutes. 20 minutes is up from 15 minutes. In my off season, which really there is no off season because bodybuilding is kind of a lifestyle choice at this stage in the game, I would do 20 minutes 3 times a week before I worked out, and I would really split that up between 2 workouts or something like that, like through the day. So I'd never do a full 20 minutes at a time, but it was enough to keep my heart healthy while I wasn't necessarily prepping and I was still training. But now we're intentionally doing 20-minute chunks. That's up from 15 minutes. I don't anticipate needing more than 30 minutes. I think 30 would be like really pushing it at the last part towards the peak. But I think the important takeaway message is if you keep things tight year-round, you don't have to suffer for hours and hours on end, day after day, to do lots of cardio. So I think that's really, really important, guys, as you're thinking about competing, or you're competing. This is the season. Guys are getting ready for the USA. Guys and girls are getting ready for the USAs. Guys and girls are getting ready for North Americans. Guys and girls are getting ready for the Masters Nationals. They're getting ready for the regular Nationals. You have enough time now to keep everything really tight, so that as you get closer and closer, when your food's more restricted and you have regular lives and you're still trying to balance your families and your jobs and all the other things, because you got to make money, because bodybuilding doesn't really make you the most amount of money. You have to do all these other things. You've got to really find a way to make the system work for you and still show up looking good. If you show up looking bad, you won't place well. And the goal is to place well and win. So you want to show up looking good. And by doing that, the way you can maximize, I think, your ability to show up looking well or your best self without necessarily having to make the process very, very difficult, very arduous, is really to think about this as much longer than a prep of 12 to 16 weeks, but think about it as a year-long process with some variations that allow you some flexibility in your nutrition, to do the things that you want, to go out to dinner, to have date nights, to do all those things, but also keep it within range. So that's really, for me, it's the biggest takeaway. Matt's really challenged me to think about how I look at cardio and what its function is. And it's not one of those badges of honor like, yeah, I had to do 15 hours of cardio so I get to wear that on my sleeve. No, it's actually the opposite. That tells you that you didn't do what you're supposed to do the other times of the year and now you're suffering.
Let me ask you something, Gerald, because I know people, including professional bodybuilder, that unless they feel like they're suffering, it's not good enough. What do you say to those people? Because I don't get it either.
Yeah, let the mirror be your guide. I mean, bodybuilding isn't about how much you weigh, how much you lift in the gym,
how much
like all of those ego things, how much you suffer, like all of those ego things have to be checked at the door. And you really have to think about what is the end product. The end product is to be your best self, to be big, to be shredded, and to be able to pose really well, and to have a balanced physique. Those are your ultimate goals. If you don't have to suffer at all, great. Like I said, the amount of suffering that I'm experiencing is really because of the amount of sessions that I'm trying to get through, because I feel like this style is most effective. And when I deem that this style isn't working for me, I'm gonna have to be flexible enough to make adjustments to say I'm gonna be able to back down to once a day. Maybe I will have to shift my cardio to the morning. Still keep the posing in, because that's actually gonna have to ramp up now as we get closer. But being flexible and keeping an open enough mind and willing to say this is working for me. Suffering does not mean something's working. It's great to have that mental fortitude to be able to go through those tough places, because guaranteed in some way or another, whether it's your personal life, your professional life, or bodybuilding, you're going to have to go through some adversity during a prep. And there is going to be something that you learn about yourself that's going to force you to grow. And so suffering can come in a lot of different ways, but it doesn't have to come in the form of starvation and hours of endless cardio.
Gotcha. Well, thanks. I'm glad you brought that up. So food-wise, let's talk about your diet a little bit. And
yeah, I eat
we kind of did. Yeah, that's
well,
right.
I'll be simple. I eat 6 things, and I've eaten the same 6 things pretty much year-round. I'm a basic guy. I like structure. I like routine. I find that's really great. I have bison, I have chicken, I have lettuce, I have cream of rice, I have protein shakes, I have eggs. I literally eat 6 things every single day.
Nice.
Depending on how I'm looking, where I'm at now we're trying to give me one super high carb day. I've never really had 1,000 grams of carbs in one day. It's a really challenging process to eat that amount of food in one day, but we're making it happen. And we keep the carbs pretty low through the week, and I function really well with that. I'm actually one of those people that I don't mind. I actually would prefer to have no carbs and low carbs, because at that point, neurologically, like my body's just switching over to fat as its energy source, which is more stable. So my brain functions a little bit better. It's either, and like my personality, I'm kind of like an all or nothing type of guy. So it's good to say, give me some carbs or give me no carbs and let my body figure it out. And I do find that after a week or so of being with no carbs, if I've had to do that, which I have had to do that in the past, my energy levels are much more stable, but I just have to make it through that first week, a degree of suffering. And then I can move forward from that. But really, I eat the same 6 things. It's really down from 7, 8 things. I think before I had the 7 source omega oil that I got from Whole Foods, and I have some rice in there too. But I try and keep the veggies in, whether it's lettuce or greens or broccoli or asparagus or something like that. Lettuce is the flavor of the week right now, because I just have to rinse it and throw it in the container, and I microwave the lettuce with my food. It's all going to the same place. Don't worry about it. So, I mean, a vegetable, but yeah, I mean, variety. People say some people can't eat the same thing every day. I believe that at its core, at its essence, bodybuilding is about routine. Bodybuilding is about being able to do the same thing day in and out. It's about repetition, whether that repetition is sets in the gym with the weights or repetitions with meals. So there's a degree of structure that's required to be able to say, I can do these things. And simplicity is easy. For those of you that went to like Catholic schools and things like that, uniforms, or those of you working in the medical profession, uniforms are awesome. There's no challenge there. You know exactly what you're going to wear. You know exactly what you're going to do. It's the same thing with foods. I know exactly what I'm eating, what's happening, and there's minimal variables for us to manipulate for me to get in shape.
Nice. Talk to me about those videos, man. The hits have been really, really good, and it was a great idea on your part, actually, because you had a very set. I have to say, when Gerald contacted me when we first started talking about the product, he had a very clear vision of what these videos you wanted them to be, and I'm not used to that. And most people, you know, I have to kind of guide them a little bit, but your vision was clear. What have been some of the feedback from people? I mean, you must have heard some feedback from the video so far.
Yeah, I mean, first thing I want to say thank you to Muscle Insider, Dominic, Dave. I mean, you guys have been really great and supportive through this process. It's been really great coming down here and shooting these videos and really being able to impart the things that I think I take for granted of how I go through my day and my process, and really share that. And I've got positive feedback. I've been at shows and people have been like, hey, I'm trying to go to school too, or I'm trying to figure these things out, you know, and they ask more in-depth questions.
Nice.
And so the positive side is that there's so many things that we do as professionals that we don't necessarily think about consciously that we do.
Take for granted.
We take it for granted, right? Because this is our routine, this is our structure, this is how we've been able to do these things, not realizing that folks are still really trying to gather this skill set. And so it's been really great, and it's been really fortunate to have this opportunity to share at least the things that I've learned along the way, and share the structures that I've been able to put in place to get me where I am. Do I believe this is the maximum, the pinnacle of success? Absolutely not. But do I feel like this is the best that I've been and the most efficient that I've been in this process? Absolutely. And it's only come from trial and error. And so if my struggles of the past and even as of current can really help someone else figure out how to navigate their process, you know, that's all great, because you'll find, like, for the most part at a lot of these shows, like, folks are really understanding and accepting and nurturing and nice because everyone understands the struggle. You know, we're all sitting in these little moons orbiting the rest of the world with our food containers and our water bottles and, you know, our gym sessions, and we can't go here and we can't do that. It's a very structured, regimented lifestyle that sometimes alienates us from the other folks, the other things that folks want to do, hang out, go party, whatever it is. And so when you get to these settings and you get to these convenings of people that are of like mind and like energy, it can be recharging, but at the same time, it's also an opportunity to really share information. And so sometimes folks aren't at shows, they're not able to do these things. And so having this platform to really share how this works, the real life of how it works, it's not the romanticized version of like, I'm a pro bodybuilder, this is really great. Yeah, it's got some cool parts to it, but it's also got some real challenges.
Yeah.
And I think people are searching for these pro cards, and they're putting a lot, and they're investing a lot of time and energy and sweat equity into reaching this goal, but realizing that receiving a pro card, or the ability to purchase a pro card, because you do have to buy them, it's just the beginning. It's not the end, it's just the beginning, and the work that you had to put in to get to that point is just baseline, and you have to go so much further than that. And so, like I said, I've run into people that have asked me follow-up questions. Thank you guys for watching the video series. It's been really fortunate. Like I said, Muscle Insider, Dave, Dominic, I really appreciate the opportunity to come down here and really do these and share this information. And I hope to be able to continue to do things like this. And you know, the next time I see you guys, it'll be after the California Pro. So we'll see how this goes.
Hopefully you have a lot more to say over the next few weeks / months / years.
Definitely. All right, thank you guys.
Thank you so much, Gerald.
All right.